Hello, Tumblers coaches here to talk about spring 2025 weeks 3 and 4. In this first half of the video, I did the stations myself and voiced them over, so that will come next. In the playlist below this video, there are some single station videos that could be helpful all the way through to the bottom, but I moved the most important ones up to the top. And I also wanted to point out that many parts of the different age groups show up on like a different beam or a different part. So just make sure you read your class's lesson plan closely before your class starts, or you could easily do a different age group, which likely wouldn't be the end of the world, but might run into trouble when you get to the next part of the lesson plan if they haven't gotten to do something yet. So just take a look before you start instead of assuming or copying someone else. Here I'm showing this station through all the different progressions. This is kind of a donkey kick, 1 foot, other foot, then both feet, then trying to do a straight leg. So those are ways to help kids try this who aren't quite ready to kick to a handstand. There you saw a start position and a kick to a partial handstand. Then you'll want to encourage them to get that back foot up higher. That's where a lot of them start to switch their feet. Kick up with one and put the other one in front. So make sure they keep finishing with their favorite one in front. Then you saw me touch my feet together down low, then up high, finishing in a lunge. You could focus on that more once they have the handstand part down. For 9 to 11, we want to turn it to make their reach longer. Start position, show that letter T, kick to handstand and flat back. So hopefully later in the session, they might be able to do that vault. Here's the straddle forward roll we're doing in 7, 8, and 5, 6. We tuck our chin, reach through the middle and push. Try to keep straight legs and pointed feet while you're rolling. Then next I'm showing the backward roll we switched to for the 9 to 11 class. The first thing you want to make sure they can do is start sitting in a tuck with their hands by their shoulders. We call that pizza hands, like you're carrying 2 big pizzas and you roll back and smush them into the floor. Next, you'll want them to start from standing up. So they would reach for the sky, then go to a tuck stand and put their hands by their shoulders, and then roll back to their backward roll. And lastly, you'll see me do a pike sit, lace my fingers and go back, and all of those should be trying to finish in a push-up position. Next, here you see the station for 5, 6, and 7, 8. That's pivot turn. See, I put 3 dots of different colors. So you could say, okay, now go to the blue one. Now go to the orange one. Oh, your friend's on the orange one. You can start on the purple one. Notice my feet are lined up. That's called toe to heel. The best word to use is spin your feet around. Say, don't take steps. Don't lift them off the beam. Go up onto your tiptoes, which is releve, and then spin around. You also need to spin towards your back leg. And then, of course, use the word pivot turn. So they start pairing that together and knowing what it is. Here you can see me move my arms up to crown. And you see I'm still going flat feet to flat feet. So that's how you'll need to start so that they can get their balance. And then eventually you want them to go up to releve, and then pivot turn without dropping their heels, and then try to pivot turn back. And then really stressing that kind of straight body line that you can see from my hands down to my feet, because that's how we learn how to do a full turn on toe, is by being able to turn on 2 feet. So you can see the example there. And then lastly, you'll see what I suggested for 9 to 11s, which is kind of a progression, one thing different at each dot. So you start with the pivot turn, then a half turn, then a full turn. And in the video, I did show some with arms and without arms. Those are different ways you can approach different kids based on their ability. And when they turn around, this is where we get to do that callback to last week. This is where we do our passe walk that we practiced, where we make our knee look like the letter P. And then a lot of kids do spin backwards, or they turn inside, which is like they do for dance. We at gymnastics turn to the outside. I think the best I heard one of my coaches say it is when her knee is up, she goes, you want to close the door. Like bring it across the front of you and shut it, not open up the door. And all the kids got it exactly right that day. So you could try that. You could also have them start like right here and then tell them to look with their eyes the direction they want to turn and make sure they're going to turn the right way, and then have them try it. And it probably isn't going to go that good for a full turn, but at least they'll know what it is and they'll be able to give it a go. This for the 5, 6, 7, 8 is roll to candlesticks with the pit block. See, it touches the mat, then reaches for the sky. You want to keep their ears covered the whole time. I'm kind of letting mine show a little bit. Right here, I'm reaching too far forwards. I should be reaching up instead. But that will definitely help when they get to backward rolls next, so that you can reference where their feet point at the ceiling. And then I am not going to do a bridge next, but you can see where I suggest to lay down. So laying down like that, putting your hands back and pushing your tummy up is the best way to get to a bridge. It's really hard for some kids to start from the carpet and push back up. For some additional options on that bridge kickover, take a look at the video labeled bridge progressions lower in the playlist. But some tips for helping with that station: don't get stuck there the whole time. We want them to be gaining muscles and the power to work on it on their own, not just get spotted. So I would go there first. I would spot it 1 to 3 times so they had the opportunity to learn what it is, learn what it feels like, but then say, hey, you can keep trying it by yourself if you want, or you can count to 5 and hold your bridge, take turns with your friends, but I'm going to go check on our other stations. If you are spotting, I would put one arm behind their back and one arm behind their favorite leg that they're holding up in the air. And then I would help them feel the momentum of rocking front to back and go 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to do a big jump over, because many of the kids really do need that momentum to get over. And once they have that feeling, they're able to do it. So make sure that you try to teach that. Here I'm going to show all the walking stations for both of the medium and the high beam. You can see here sitting on the beam. And then this is the knee scale, where you can kind of see that straight line from my back foot to my head. If kids don't look like this, we have a lot of coaching to do on it. And this is not something they're very good at taking their time at and doing on both legs. Then remember, the 5, 6s can crawl right back down onto the blue blocks if they want to, or they're welcome to stand up and jump onto the room mat or walk to the end. But the knee scale is the skill they're working on. I'm doing an okay job at trying to stand up, but remember, we do want them to learn to sit on the beam and be able to get up without those blocks there. First, you're going to see me do a dip walk. So this is where we want to practice scooping our foot down next to the beam, and we want them to go as low as they can. So it's kind of working on, balance on one foot, on leg strength of the leg that's dipping down, and a chance to work on what leg form means on that straight leg. So you'll see it squeeze out in the back and then squeeze in the front before you step on it. So really ask them for those things, tell them what they're learning, and hopefully watch them get better at it. It's a great chance to work on pointed feet versus flexed feet, so don't miss the opportunity. Next, I'm going to show forwards kicks. I think we should do them flat feet, hands on hips, and work on the actual leg form. So you see I'm kind of kicking quickly, but then able to slow it down and control it. And kids don't often do this without being asked to. So I would say you should show it like I'm doing it, so that you have something to reference, because when we say slow down, they might already think they're going really slow. So make sure that they know what our idea of taking your time looks like. And again, leg form is a huge opportunity there. Here you're seeing my long jump. That's as far as I can go. But you see my feet are lined up toe to heel, like we talked about on the laser beam. And then I'm trying it with the other foot in front. So you can have them go all the way across, or you can have them switch part of the way across, but that will hopefully help them get comfortable. Hey coaches, tumblers, weeks 3 and 4 here. I already did a video over here of me exemplifying each of these stations. I also did all the beam walking passes up on that beam you would have noticed in that video, so you can see an example of what we want to try to make those look like before we move on to anything else or quit coaching them. I also shown over here, I flipped some trampolines over and up against the wall. If those stations are so close to those kids they cannot quit from jumping on them, rather than wasting your words, just move the trampoline, because it is probably very tempting. And then over here, like I said, I already showed these. Over here, I thought it'd be more helpful if I just gave some comments about coaching and then attach some videos that I've already made in the past that could be helpful. I'm gonna start with 5, 6. We're adding on the springboard this week, where they do what the other class did last time, where they jump from the blocks to the board, to the mat. And if you feel like you need to take off the red one and do just the purple, please do. And you could also put half the purple block onto the gray block the long way, so that they don't have to jump so far to the X. So that's a definitely know the size and ability of your class and try to accommodate. You could even turn the trapezoid sideways right now so that they have a little bit more space and overlap with the board a little bit, but it might get a little shaky that high. So I would caution you against it if you aren't going to be standing there, depending how many coaches there are in your class. Over here on the purple bar, we're doing jump to front support. I'll attach a video of some kids trying to do that. This bar is too high for that. I suggest just moving the bar all the way down. It's a little more stable that way. And it shouldn't be super hard to get up there. We want it at a height where they're trying to do a straight arm jump to front support, not a jump to bent arms and then like a front support dip, which is what most kids do. They pull it right towards their belly button with bent arms and then push their arms straight. And we want it to be like their elbows are already straight when they're standing on the ground. And when they jump, they stay straight all the way up to front support. And when they do that, they can almost kind of bounce off the bar and go back to their feet. So you'll see a big difference in that. Coach for it, it's possible, but the bar does need to be low enough for you to do that. And that's kind of like what we might have experienced when we were learning a kip, where you try to jump up with straight arms. We want them to be trying to do that already. We are putting the 5-6s on this bar this time and spotting them on 3 pull-ups. So you should just face right towards them like you would on a partner pull-up and hold on to their legs. If they need more help, you can hold closer to their knees. You could also stand behind them and like grab their waist and lift them up. But I think my arms might get kind of tired doing that with a lot of kids. But the idea is that instead of just whipping them over the bar on a pullover, we want them to be gaining arm strength and understand what pulling on the bar feels like. And I can tell you, they've never done a pull-up before. So teach them what one is, teach them how to try one, and then later in the session when we're asking them to pull their chin up to the bar on their pull over, hopefully they have a little bit more of a reference. Now, you can't stand there the whole time. So the idea is spot them on 3 twice, and then take them over to that bar and show them what a spider hang is, which is where they hang under the bar, then put one leg on the outside of each hand so they're hanging in a straddle. And that's a nice safe thing for them to try on their own. And I will also attach a video of me having some kids do spider hangs where they lift to their feet to the bar, kind of like they're doing a toe up, and then separate their legs at the end. And that's how you can kind of challenge those kids who need a little bit of extra. And then over here on the beam, I already showed dip walk in the other video. And then on the low beam, there will be 3 beam bags so that they can practice jumping over. And as you saw me do in the pivot turn video, you saw my feet lined up. So instead of going next to each other, we call that toe to heel because your toe is touching your heel. So you can ask them to stand like that and try to jump over the bean bags and also land like that. And that will hopefully help them learn how to keep their feet facing forwards instead of turning them sideways. Then reviewing this side for the 7-8, they are doing this jump to the springboard again, but they're trying a straddle jump this week. They are also coming over to the purple bar for jump front support. They are on this wall again going to do their wall walk pullover. So that's kind of big ticket item to get on the bar. You have to be able to do a pullover. So we're going to do it one more set of times on this wall where hopefully some of them are making it on their own. You'll see I pulled the bar away from the wall right now, so there's room to do the spider hang. So you'll need to make sure that that gets moved back towards the wall. Or if this panel mat's not being used, because that's for 9 to 11, you could even add it on the wall and it might be close enough for them to be trying it. And then over here on the white beam, they're practicing a teeter-totter. I'm going to add another video below in the playlist of me showing kind of through the transitions of that so you can hopefully learn to coach it a little better. And then up on this beam, they're doing forward kicks, which I also did in the previous video. And then moving on to 9 to 11, they are doing a straddle jump off of this springboard again as well. On this, they're adding a glide swing where their feet are now not on the slider. So hopefully since we've given them that frame of reference, while we're coaching it, we can say, remember when your feet were on the slider, they went straight out and straight back. So you want your feet to do that now, but while they're hanging in the air. So they should start with their hands on the bar, then their feet will go on the edge of this panel mat. So they'll either be curved or piked depending how tall they are. And then the idea is that they gently lift up their feet, maybe a teeny tiny jump, or even stand on their heels on the edge of the panel mat and kind of scooch their feet and wiggle them till they come off, and that you see that nice smooth glide swing forwards and backwards. I'll put a couple other glide swing videos without this exact setup right below it in the playlist so you can kind of catch the drift in case you're unfamiliar with a glide swing without jumping to the bar. Then over here on the red and yellow blocks, we're again doing that jump to front support, cast back to hollow, but we're adding a forward roll dismount to a chin hang, which is arguably one of the most important parts because they do not get a lot of experience in their life on the arm strength that it takes to hold their chin above the bar. And so if we just let them flop down with their arms straight, they're arguably not learning very much other than how to fall off the bar. So if you can teach them how to roll forwards and then bend their arms and hold their chin above the bar, they're hopefully gaining some of those muscle groups to be able to do their pullover on their own. And then you might have some kids that are strong enough where you can teach them what a captain hook is, where they roll forwards with their chin above the bar and they don't touch their feet to the ground, and then they can pull back over. So if you get a kid who's really strong, show them what it is and have them try it every time so that it meets their needs a little better. You can see this mat that I put down here, you can move that if it's in your way. But if you get a kid who's a little hesitant, or that you're a little hesitant about walking away, if they're kind of flopping off the bar, that could shorten the distance and make it a little squishier just in case. And I'm sorry, I spoke wrong. The 7/8s are actually doing their jump to front support over there as well this time. So we're not having them go where the 5/6s are, but go on this higher bar. And then when they're jumping to that front support, they're not doing their forward roll yet. But then if you want to have that mat there just in case to keep them a little safer, great. We do experience a lot of kids when they roll forwards of trying to flip their hands around. Now they do that because they feel that their hands are no longer going to be on top of the bar. So they're flipping them around to try to keep their hands on top of the bar. But what we need to teach them is to scooch their hand around the bar so that it's on top, going from the other direction. And so then they can hold their chin up to the bar. So make sure when you're helping those 9 to 11s, don't let them release the bar and flip it over. And usually not with 9 to 11s, but the younger kids, sometimes when they go to forward roll, they'll just let go of the bar and reach their hands down for the ground because they feel like they're falling. So you do want to make sure to instruct them not to let go of the bar. You would think they would do that on their own, but they do not always. So make sure you add it in your instructions just in case.